Marauders, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be installing on my 2024 Road Glide the Rockford Fosgate upgraded amplifier and speakers in the fairing, replacing the stock amplifier and speakers. And I believe they call this a stage 2 audio upgrade for the motorcycle. I'm going to take you through the installation best I can. I've never remove the fairing on this motorcycle. That'll be a first time. A couple things I want to show you that I'm going to add that I've purchased for the motorcycle. One, this Harley Davidson tank cover, which we'll use. This is an 8-gallon fuel tank on my Ducati Multistrada. You know, you can use it to protect. I've used it when I've adjusted the handlebars on this bike. And just as a precaution, I'm going to put it on the Road Glide. Why not? I have it. And I want to say these are about $40 for these covers. I think it's less money than a paint job. And then also I have a fender cover that can be used on other motorcycles. That's a look at the motorcycle with a fender cover on it and also the tank cover. Yeah, pretty nice, aren't they? Premium. This is something else I bought at Harbor Freight that they recommend getting is these anti-mar pry bars. I don't think this was a lot of money. It might have been $9, and I can use it on other things, not only in the garage vehicles, but also around the house. First, I have to disable the motorcycle. I have to shut off the electricity to it, and I have to pull the main fuse. I've removed the saddlebag and the main fuse. Okay, so the main fuse is pulled on the bike. The power should be shut off. And let's start, give you a look at where that is. That's where the main fuse is. It's covered up like that. You know, I couldn't find my T27 torque driver, and I had it on the bike. Wow, look at how big this deflector is. I never realized this part was that big. Wow. Okay, I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. My garage is a mess, so I'm going to use this pry tool. And I think you pry out on the top of the cover first. Oh yeah, that went better. Hey, and you don't want to pry out on the bottom because you'll break these tabs off. Not that you're ever going to go backwards and reuse this. And then from here, I believe we remove these fairing bolts. Give you a shot. These bolts hold on the fairing, and I think we take those out. So that's the next step, is remove the fairing bolts, which there's more than just these two. And these are T27 Torx. And then they want you to take off. Next up is to take off. By the way, these speakers have a little tweeter. We'll compare them. Next step is to remove the fairing, and then the fairing, there's two bolts. I'm sorry, the windshield. Next step is to remove the windshield. This is a Clockworks windshield. There's two bolts, Torx bolts, T27s on each side holding it. And then I have to remove 6 bolts that are holding the mounts for the windshield. So and I put tape to protect not only the windshield, but also the fairing, the paint on the fairing. I know some people that take these windshields off and put the stock one on when they go for rides, and it's amazing. I don't like taking them on and off. Not one bit. Not fun. And I'll show you after I get this off. And this is by the way, I love this windshield. I have to do a video on it. And I had the Harley 12.5-inch windshield on the bike. And I have a Husky parts tray over here. I try to put things on order that I take them off. So let's pull this windshield. Okay. These are the spacers they put on. And then these windshield mounts, there's 3 bolts on each one that I have to remove. And I'm not going to show you me spinning these out. You'll have to trust me that I'm taking them off. Okay, and then they want you to pull off this vent. And they recommend taping it. Not sure how this vent is going to come off. Oh, that's how it comes off. Okay, there's a clip right there. I'll show you. Oh boy, that's somewhat of a violent removal. Okay. So that's the clips that hold it. And they're on the upper right. So try to get behind it in the upper right to remove it. And then the dashboard comes off easily. Oh boy, I don't want to lose those. I covered up my garage drain so I don't lose parts like that. Sure enough, they drop on cue, they drop on the floor. Okay. Feeling that the reassembly is going to get harder, be harder than the disassembly. I am. So then I think the next 4 bolts that come out are these 2 on either side, and then the ones in the back, and then I think the fairing comes off. So let's try removing those. And I hope I'm going to remember how to do this. I try to put them in, you know, going from left to right, the order I take things off. And some of the things I put on my Buffalo Bills blanket, the fairing mounts, the base mounts, have the screws in them. I left them in them. And I believe the fairing now comes off. Woohoo! Whoa! A little scary all that stuff came off the bike. A little nervous about that, taking all that stuff off the bike. I've never taken a Harley apart before. And this is the stock amplifier. Look at this nice little compartment here for it. Okay, so there's 4 bolts that hold on, T27 bolts that are fairly tight, that hold on the stock amplifier. Look at that dashboard component. Pretty impressive. And by the way, I'm looking at this one bolt. Look at this. This bolt was loose. Look at how that's barely in there. There's 4 big bolts holding them. Those look like T30s. So I got to tighten that up. You know, sometimes it's good to take this stuff apart, right guys? Rockford Fosgate. So the stock amp is a Rockford Fosgate also. This amplifier, I am powering the fairing, 2 fairing speakers with a new amplifier. It will also power, I believe it's pre-wired, at least to under the seat. The amplifier comes out, and then you slide this tab, red tab forward if you can see that, and then pull this plug that unlocks the wiring harness. I think I need to press this, and they're saying you may need a pry tool. And you know why they're saying that? Because they know what they're talking about and I don't. Okay. So that's out. When I was younger and used to replace amplifiers in cars, it was all about heat. Dissipating heat. Amps create heat and they dissipate heat. I don't know. That's what I knew as an amateur. And the newer amp definitely is taller by maybe 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch and has definitely more mass to it than the stock amplifier. It is substantially heavier. And the bolt pattern's the same on the 2. Bolt pattern's the same, obviously. So that's a look at the stock amplifier and then what it's being replaced with. Oh, adding weight to the bike, not a good thing, right? You know what you do, how you become a motorcycle mechanic? You take apart your brand new motorcycle that you have no idea how to put back together again. I have a little bit of an idea, but it is strange for me to look at this new bike taken apart like that. It just looks taken apart. Okay, let's get back to work. Let's plug the wiring harness back in. Here, click into place. Ooh, she's a big girl. She's a big amp. Okay, so that's in place. A lot of wires going into that amp, guys. A lot of wires. I love details that the Rockford Fosgate faces you as you're working on a bike. I just like that. Don't ask me why. Okay, let's put these screws back in. And man, there's big screws holding it. Let's tighten this one up. Look at how that was loose. And that was on the verge of falling out. Imagine listening to that rattle. And the other ones are very tight. Very tight. Okay, so that's tight on there. You know, sometimes you wonder if a mechanic at a dealership would have saw that was loose. Probably a good one would have. But you just never know. Now everything appears to be working on the bike, but there's a plug down there that's bopping around underneath that. I hope this works because I do not want to take this back apart. And I think these might be the antenna. See this thing here? My Ranger has that underneath the hood, and I think that's the antenna for the bike. It's amazing how things have changed. Okay, so this is the harness is locked into place. Give you a look, 4 bolts, T27s, locked it in place. The plug is intact. And by the way, I'm impressed with Harley Davidson accessories, how well they're made, and although there were no instructions, is how well they go together. So next, that's in place. You can watch me try to put the fairing back in place. Let's give the fairing a shot. Got to pick it up and take it from there to there. I am going to pause this video to wipe these things down. Wow, was that ridiculous? Oh, the wind deflector holds the bottom of it in place, and see how it flops around? What a great design. See how it flops around down here? Well, it's held in place by the bolt here, by the speaker will hold that, and also the wind deflector that I took off. The first thing you take off will hold it in place. So I'm not going to show it on camera. I have those 4 bolts to put on. I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm also going to wipe this down. So I'm not going to show the reassembly of the fairing and the windshield. I'll jump to the comparison of the speakers, and basically you just reverse the process that you took the fairing off. You just reverse that to put it back on. So I'm not going to show in detail putting the fairing back on and the windshield. We'll skip ahead to the speaker installation. Look at the difference. I feel so much better about this purchase. I'll sit down and do this so you can see. I feel so much better from this purchase. These are not the biggest drivers, magnetic drivers I've seen on the speaker, but they're a good size. Some companies have massive drivers on their speakers, and sometimes you can't always judge a speaker by the driver on it. Back in the day, stereo freaks, which I was at one time, really into speakers. But I don't think that's a huge driver, but it is what it is. And the stock stereo system on this bike is pretty good. My brother's Ultra, Pat, forgive me, 2010 Ultra, that stereo system is like a noisemaker. I turned it on, it wasn't even worth turning on. Pat, please don't be offended. Look at the driver on the stock speakers. And they are so much lighter, and they actually were pretty good. The reason I wanted to update the stereo system is one of the things I enjoy most about the Road Glide is I don't have to listen to the music in my helmet. I'm always listening to music or talking on the intercom to someone. And I like that with the windshield, the fairing, and the stereo system, I can listen to music, naturally, not within the helmet. So this was a pretty good stock stereo system, not bad. And I put off upgrading. But now I'm totally, this new system has to be better. Look at the difference in these drivers. Come on, people. Do you see that? Come on. Holy mackerel. How many different ways can I show you? It is so much heavier. Okay. And according to the instructions that are almost not instructions at all, this is the orientation they want you to install the speakers for some reason. That's how they are in the picture, so that's how I'm going to install them. I don't know if it matters, but this, I'm assuming this wire with the black line on it is the ground, and it was on the left side of the speaker I took out. So let's install that on the tab, and then positive on the right speaker tab. Oh my God, and again, because of YouTube, I can't really play for you music. Licensing rules, you'll have to trust it. Everyone that's upgraded this that I've seen has been very happy with it. I don't know how you wash these bikes. If you can see it, the grill has a gasket around it, which is in place now. Very much in place, and I'm going to put the bottom, has tabs. I'm going to put the bottom tabs in first. Wow! Does that dress, stupid thing, does that dress up the dashboard or what? Okay, I'm not going to have it on camera, but I'm going to install the other speaker. I had to disconnect. I pulled the main 60 amp breaker. I pulled the fuse breaker and reset it for the amp. Took the cover off the main fuse panel. Then I went into the same thing I did, and something must have jolted the amp because then it was picking it up. And I did stage 2 amp, start test. And then it's left speaker, I'm going to touch the left speaker, right speaker, touch the right speaker. Okay, and so we're done. It should be programmed, and I think what you do is you shut the bike off for 30 seconds. Oh, you don't do that, you shut it off. And hopefully when I turn it on, I'll have the speakers. Wow, was that a lot of work? That got me nervous. I did not want to take this back apart. Oh, sound is really good. We'll leave it at that. Marauders, I've watched some people have issues getting that. I haven't watched, but I've heard. Well, I guess I have watched some people on YouTube, like Cycle Fanatics and someone I know who has a new 2024 Road Glide. Even at the dealership, it didn't connect, and I believe they had to pull the main fuse out. I kept pulling and resetting the main fuse and the 30 amp fuse to the amplifier, and something seemed to click where all of a sudden it caught and it was showing up with the right screen to program it. And I do have speakers. They do work, and it looks just fantastic. The grills, the sound is excellent. I'm going to grab something to eat inside my house and take the bike for a ride. Installation is not hard at all. You just have to be patient, and I would, man, just take your time. That electronic issue scared me a little bit, that it wouldn't connect right away, but the reason I did this is it's going into the dealer for the first 1,000-mile service, and if I was having an issue, I'd have them look at it. But I'm going to take it for a ride to see, make sure it works, and the bike is just really pleased with it. And the sound is awesome. Awesome. All right, Marauders, thank you. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Please, let's respect each other and get out and do whatever you do to enjoy, whether it's riding off-road or a motorcycle, boating, or just being with your family. Thank you, guys. Hope to see you on the trail. Wow, big difference in the sound. But will it make a difference when I'm riding it? I have to see. The speaker covers are great. Very nice. Very nice. And you think to look at this bike and you think it's clean. When you get up close, especially start taking things off it, man, does it get dusty even in the garage.